Let's shift a bit the gear here. I want to ask you about the fundraising, which is quite the most
Mhm.
important for any founder when he's, finished, he wants to go and raise his first round of funding. What is the proper steps, the pitfalls? I mean, walk us through your journey. What advice would you give them basically on that aspect? I know it's a big, broad question. It's the most difficult part because this is the most struggling concept of fundraising. I mean, you do your MVP, you build your product, you go to market, fine. But then at some point, you're bootstrapping your business, but you end up, no runway for cash, or you're like stuck somewhere. How to maneuver, how to go about it.
Look, the people, I would have a recommendation for today that is different than when we first started, right? When we first started, even the product building wasn't mature enough. We had to make a lot of mistakes. For you to make mistakes, it's very costly. So you need the type of funding for you to potentially make the mistakes, learn from them, and keep reiterating until you get done. And without those mistakes, we weren't able to reach to the basically, product, we call it maturity it is today. For you to to do those mistakes, you need to fundraise. Today, things were different. Today I have a friend, a founder friend, who has a startup who's mashallah doing very well in the 6 digits ARR and is doing it with only 2 employees because AI has built everything. It's phenomenal. So yeah, it's a different time. Back then, we needed every dollar, and so we did everything. We went to family and friends in the beginning, and then we spoke with angels. We never said no to money. So, and I even say that today, even with AI, if you're capable to do that, then by all means. But if you're not, and you are in fundraising mode and you don't want to do bootstrapping, then never say no to money. There are some conditions you have to say, of course. I mean, don't give up, all your company, don't give up control. But, the valuations here and there, I mean, we raised it, in 2021 when it was hyper valuation. It was, people were fundraising at 200
Yeah.
times, multiples. It's different times. Then 2022, the correction happened, and now, it came back to like 20x and 15x, which obviously in the finance world makes a lot more sense than 200x multiple. But you've seen it all. That's I think one of the most important things, and this is, one thing I've learned that, you know, during that time, just make the mistakes as fast as possible. Reiterate. Again, this could be a double-edged sword because we've been told by advisors that you guys reiterate too fast, but it's helped us because we make the mistakes much faster and we can try multiple of them. And then eventually we get to it right. Some people say, no, stick to your course, keep at it until it works out. No, do different ways. Ours is definitely more costly for sure. And that came as well as cost of dilution and so on and so forth. But what makes it even harder, and I think the fundraising part, the first part, is relatively easier if you have truly traction, if you have, your pre-seed, your seed are not, I would say a piece of cake, but they are much easier than the Series A. And I want to take you, maybe take you through that journey a bit. I think at some point I might write a book about just the Series A and how daunting and tough it is. It's incredible, right? So the fun and the beauty about the pre-seed and seed, it's negotiations. You get on a table with an investor, you guys agree on a number, you guys agree on a valuation. You just signed a document and that's beautifully done. Now, what happens is the Series A, it's you are in this Charlotte's web of people that are intertwined in decision making. One fallen piece can just break the whole thing, and you not might not be able to raise the Series S. For example, why would that happen? First, there's always people that are happy to potentially come in, but the Series A means you have to have a lead investor. So everyone tells you go find your lead investor and then come back to me. If you're able to, to go through, and I have my CRM over 1,200, investors I reached out to. 330 were the ones I was able to actually, get conversation going via email or via chat. And then out of 330, 50 got to us first and second call. And then eventually, I think 20 or 18 closed, investors closed with me. So I was able to basically raise that round. So it gives you how much the success rate is, 1,000 reached out to, and then 300, and then down to eventually 1820. But not just that. Why is Series A so hard? Is because not only is conditional and everyone needs to approve the condition, it's time based. The lead investor tells you, here's my term sheet. These are the conditions. Conditions are first, I put 40% of the round, you bring the remaining 60%, and you have 5 months. So now, not only do you have very specific terms and conditions that the other investors might not want, but this won't trigger until you have the full round. So now you're stuck in between juggling 6,000 things at the same time, making sure that first those T&Cs are going to be relevant to the new investors, and they should come and make that decision within that time frame. It's a lot. And you do this while you're building the company. And we were lucky because we were two co-founders. We can split the work, but solo founders, it's a tough job, honestly. It takes away from your business time. And so eventually with all of that, and not just that, once all of that gets signed, the documentation, oh my God, the law firms and the lawyers, that charade after you all sign goes another 2 to 3 months, right? So it's hectic. All in all, it took us a year and a half, almost a bit less. Yeah.
Wow.
If I have the luxury of not doing it, I would never do it again, to be honest. It's tough, right? But today, because of AI, people don't have to do that, right? And then it's a pain that you no longer have to live with. And that's great. But again, it depends on the type of trajectory going. It depends on the type of growth you want. It depends on the type of dilution you can accept. All that plays a huge role in all of it. I hope that answers your question.
Well, definitely it answered, and more than that, to be honest, quite enlightening. And I have learned so much things today by understanding the CRA. I thought was, in my own perspective, was much easier in some way than pre-seed or seed. Actually, it came up to be completely the opposite, because you have time bound and you have to have a lead investor, and then give you this kind of criteria, and then this pressure to be able to raise the balanced amount that he's putting in on the cap table. So you have to really rush, and then, like I said, you have other things to take care of, the operational side of the business, not only fundraising, right? But what a journey, and well done for being so resilient on that aspect.